The following commercial is a production and property of WDDK-FM, Dock 103.9, Greensboro, Georgia.
The automobile industry and some of the different ways they can make deals and pay cash or not pay cash. But I was wondering now, if I buy a car and I want to return it, can I do that within the first 3 days?
Well, that's something that comes up all the time, right? Listen, you have an offer today. So what do you think the answer is? Can you buy a car and return it within 3 days?
I think the answer is yes on that.
Chip, I believe you have got another one wrong. The answer is no. You
Wow.
cannot. You cannot do that. That's a huge myth in the car business. People buy an automobile and they want to return it for various reasons. Now, again, if you look at what we're doing today and every Thursday, we do it again solely for this is one of the main reasons. If you're educated, you know exactly what you're doing. You should not have that buyer's remorse. There are some circumstances that come up that it may be legitimate. But the one thing I would say is simply this, and I've run into these scenarios before. When you make a deal with someone, right, eye to eye, you made a deal, you've come in, you've bought a car, you made that deal. If you want to return it based on buyer's remorse or something, and those things happen, you just got to look also, too, just doing the right thing. I mean, if you flip it around, and let's say that we sold you a car, and then within 3 days we said, you know what, that was one of our hottest models, and we only made $400 on that deal. You know what? Let's call up Mr. Johnson. Let's get our car back. I don't want that. I want to take my car back. We couldn't do that because we made a deal, right?
Great point.
I mean, it's. But again, I don't want to turn down the fact that people feel that way. But let me tell you the three reasons that a car can come back. Okay? Mm-hmm. In a scenario, there is no 3-day right of rescission in the state of Georgia. Okay. However, there are 3 conditions a car can come back. The first way is if the bank financing doesn't go through. If the bank financing doesn't get done, then the car comes back because there's no unless you can get your own lending institutions to supply the same deal that was arranged upon. The other condition is the dealer advertises it or they promote as a unique selling proposition. Hey, do business with us. We'll take a car back within 48 hours, or if you're not happy, whatever the case may be. Remember, this is a moral and ethical issue. It's not a legal issue. In the state of Georgia, you can go to any attorney you want to go to. If you bought a car, the minute you drive off the lot, you're an owner. There's nothing you can do about it. And a lot of customers leave. They go see their attorney in scenarios where they're very upset, and they realize, I guess I can't do anything, and then they come back. So again, if you've got a scenario where you want to bring a car back, there are some guys and gals that run automobile dealerships that have a heart and they'll listen to the scenario. Typically, they don't if they don't have that policy. The last way, the only way really, if you want to kind of say within 3 days, is if a vehicle was bought off-site. Here's the deal. A right of rescission takes place if you go to someone's place of business and you go to buy something they have. There is no right of rescission. You've waived that. However, if we've come to you, in other words, we're off our premises, or we have agreed to a deal and we go to your house and sign the paperwork and you take delivery at your house, it's an off-site sale similar to a Kirby vacuum cleaner. It's an off-site deal. But if you come to us and you buy the car from our lot, you are now an owner, and there is no way you can get out of that deal unless you just have a warm, kind-hearted general manager that just will allow you to get out. It's an ethical, moral issue more than it is illegal. Legally, you've bought a car.
Always do what's right. Do what your mama taught you to do.
That's it. That's it.
Louie, I don't know if you heard this on the news this week. This kind of ties into this. This, to me, is an amazing story. Maybe you've heard other stories like this. Woman in Atlanta arrested this week. What she did is she went to a car dealer in Atlanta, paid cash, wrote a check, a $49,000 check for a truck.
Right.
Okay? The dealer called the bank. It was good. She drove off the lot with the new truck. She canceled payment on the check before it went through the bank.
Right.
She still had the car, took the car to another state and title pawned it for $5,000.
Yeah.
And basically stole a truck.
Well, let me tell you, I didn't hear that story, but let me tell you, this is why when you especially when you're dealing with Milledgeville, Eatonton, Greene County. This is a handshake kind of town, right? I mean,
yes.
I really think it is. But this is why there's so many stipulations and so forth. Like if you're in Atlanta, typically I'm surprised to hear that because I've run dealerships in Atlanta, and if somebody writes a check, the first thing we do is we telecheck the check. We pay for a service that guarantees the check. If that doesn't guarantee, the next thing we do is what we call a courtesy contract that basically prevents this from happening. This has happened to me before, where I've had a vehicle stripped down and ended up they found it in New Jersey where we didn't back ourselves up. You do a courtesy contract that basically gets somebody who wants to pay cash. We run a contract that is cashable to the bank based on your credit criteria. If something were to happen to this check, doesn't go through, I've got a contract that I can send to the bank, and it protects you and me. Those are the kind of things that happen. What I find doing business in Augusta for 4 years or doing business here locally in Milledgeville, I'll tell you, a lot of folks get really offended by that. Hey, you won't take my check? And it's a tough dilemma, and so you have to go with relationships and you got to protect your business. But look how quickly this can happen. In Atlanta, much like New York or much like Orlando, there's a lot more backstops in place because there's so many more people and there's so many more games that are played. People do things like this all the time. It's a sad deal.
I never even would have thought of that.
Oh, I could tell you stories. We got stories where people how they're stealing cars. Check this out. People are stealing cars because they'll come into the dealership, husband and wife, two thieves. They'll come into the dealership. They'll visit with the salesperson. They'll have the keys in their hand. They'll have a key. Copy of a key. It looks like a Toyota key or a Honda key. All right, that's not the right key. Husband will take the salesperson around the back, looking at the trunk, look at the car. The wife is taking off the key ring, the real key, put the fake one on. They'll tell the salesperson they're not interested in buying today. They don't even want to test drive the car. Thank you for helping us. Here's my name and number. They'll leave. They'll come back later on with the key, drive the car off the lot.
You are kidding.
There's a lot of rings of things. Yeah, there's tons of things going on. So
unbelievable.
Just got to do the right thing.
Do the right thing. All right. Super Thursday with Chip and Louie. We've got more. We're going to talk a little bit about community involvement and some of the special deals that Louie's working on this month when we come back. All right, on the way, we've got music from Sly and the Family Stone next on Doc 103.9.